that pays off for them here, as they certainly need to get a win. One, so we can start restoring some faith in them, and two, so they can stay in this series. Infernal Shrines, a battleground that they seem to do pretty well on in terms of macro calls. We'll see if they can get a win, though, over Fnatic, as it's been a difficult task so far for them.
Infernal Shrines, also Diablo battleground. Coincidence? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
That actually, whatever. We have priorities on tanks currently in a situation where Garrosh is even taken as the #1 spot.
Garrosh was first picked, Diablo was the first out of the first two rotations.
Yeah, the big question is really now, how is Trick going to react to this? Do you first ban Diablo?
And then take Garrosh?
Is that even a thing? So for Trick, this is going to be an interesting draft, because I'm not quite sure what I would first ban if I'm in their shoes. They banned Stukov once, they banned Maiev on the second, and no matter what they ban here, I feel Fnatic is going to have some crazy good openings, because yes, Breeze would probably love to play Diablo again, but Trick is figuring that if they ban Medivh, Diablo can't be quite as aggressive as he has been in the last game. I'm not quite sure that's really going to deter Breeze from picking the hero for himself if he has the choice, but that also leaves Stukov open. So we could see Smexy and Stukov on the map, or alternatively on Malfurion, as both of the supports are apparently going through. Unless, of course, Fnatic is going to get rid of it, but there is a chance that they are banning Garrosh out again since they are on the second pick.
Yeah, the Medivh ban here makes Diablo just regular Godzilla, not Mecha Godzilla, which is incredibly terrifying and shuts down anything in your round. But still, it limits the amount of engage that comes your way. Fnatic thinking about their ban here. Do they take away a healer? Maybe put Fnatic in or Trick Esports in a spot where they grab the healer, that way they can ensure they get that Diablo. Do they just leave it open-ended and take both the healer and Diablo?
I mean, we've seen Diablo also.
And a lot of other maps.
Yeah, by Dignitas with the Tacita composition, and that was also in Infernal Shrines. So that's still something that you can absolutely pull off. One of the big advantages that Breeze had in the last game is that not only did he have the portal available, but also the shield that Medivh can throw out kept him alive even more. So he basically couldn't die. Now if you try to play this with the Tacita composition, you can also do that. Because always with the thought in mind that, as it now happened, Trick actually picks Garrosh first. Because that's one of the problems when you're starting to pick Diablo. If you have nobody else that helps you, let's say, for example, we have later up. If Fnatic, for example, picks Diablo, Trick still gets their hands on Tychus, then all of a sudden you are in a spot where, yes, Diablo is absolutely frightening in the positions where he's at, but if he's ever thrown into the team, then all of a sudden Tychus just gets the full minigun off, and there's a very good chance that Diablo actually falls. If in that setup then you also have Tacita available, as we've seen Dignitas play, you still get the extra armor in and the shield, which makes it very tricky for your opponent to get that. So that's one of the things that you can at least think about. You don't have to, but Dignitas has already shown that it's definitely an option.
Now with that being said, Fnatic may not even go down the route of Diablo. Maybe we'll get a Johanna instead. So for now, they're going to leave open their warrior choice, and they're going to decide what they want to pick up later on. They move into Genji and Malfurion for their 1 and 2. 1, taking away the Malfurion so they don't have that Garrosh combo into a lockdown if Diablo were to get picked later on to lock him down. And now Trick Esports will show if they are wanting to move into Tychus, which may put Fnatic in a situation where they go down a different tank route later on.
Sonya Stukov? I would pick that over Tychus right now.
Yeah?
I mean, you really want to go into Stukov normally, unless you're absolutely okay playing a Rega or something else, because Fnatic would most likely ban Stukov out if it's not picked now. Once Malfurion is taken, the usually reaction is to go Stukov. When it comes to support meta, we're actually looking at a very limited choice of supports that are very standard. You have either Malfurion or Stukov, and sometimes if none of those two is available, you go into Uther or into Rega, unless the composition and synergy that you want to go for really requires one of the named former. Most of the other supports are not picked, at least not in Europe, or very, very rarely. And they go into Stukov, but instead of going for Sonya right away, they go for Gul'dan, which works very well for the map, works very well for them, and also takes another potential tool away from Fnatic.
Stukov Gul'dan and Crosby also getting back on his Gul'dan. When was the last time we saw this? Did we see it yesterday? I feel like we've recently seen that Gul'dan, but Crosby obviously very powerful in the hero, powerful in the battleground as well, helping out with Garrosh.
It's just funny that we're seeing the meme come into play between these two. Because Crosby, of course, in the interview, Mihail is the best cooldown in the world, and the first response that we had on social media was on Twitter, Mane coming in and was like, really?
Really?
Is that what's going on here?
Sure
I think
about
my
that?
cooldown is a little better than yours. And he proved his cooldown already.
Yeah, Mane is very protective over his status when it comes to mages. He has to let people know.
When it comes to mages, he's all over
my
the place.
territory.
He watches different regions, sees a build he doesn't like, it's immediately on Twitter.
He's just a little puppy, man, just yipping at you if you ever come near his territory. Mages, these are mine!
Yeah.
Malthael banned out. Taken away here is Fnatic. Wants to make sure the option's there.
He's a little puppy that's
He's a little puppy.
yapping
He
away.
yips a lot, you know? I don't see him as like this huge labradoodle or anything that's like one to come in and like take you down. I don't see him as that. I see him as more of like a beagle, right? Like, he's loud, but he's a cutie too, you know? You'll pet him occasionally, you rub him behind the ear and say, you know what, man, you are a good mate. You're a good mate.
Can you please, at the next event, just go over and like treat him like a dog for 2 minutes?
All right, we'll make sure it's on Oracle. We'll do it. We'll do it. Next episode of Oracle. All right.
Sonya ban. I would like that from Tricked.
Bad Bunny has shown the Sonya too, so they're willing to definitely pick into it.
What else could depend though? Genji and Malfurion and this. I mean, it's still Diablo is there. Yeah, I was actually about to say, wasn't there something else that we were concerned about?
Especially with the Malthael ban coming in there,
yeah.
You assume they want to go down that Diablo route, and there it is. Diablo has been banned out.
Yeah.
And we will not be getting him, but we could now get that Sonya.
I looked at that Sonya, I was just like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I was like, wait a second, wasn't there something else we were talking about just a minute ago?
For an entire game, post 16.
Yeah.
Okay, so feels like Sonya is going to be the way we go into this. And then we're going to need our main tank. There are other options available. The Muradin's still up. Usually you want a tank that has a little bit of mobility against Garrosh, or of course a Johanna, because of the Iron Skin. So those are the two that kind of jump up to me as the first flavor. But with it being Fnatic, and although we haven't seen it in a while, there's always still a chance on this battleground we get that Anubarak, because they're always willing to go in for the Cocoon engage.
I doubt Anubarak.
I doubt it too.
Because normally when they play Anubarak, they want to have something along the lines of Stuko with them, and also like real burst damage that they can use to really follow up on quick kills. It's also something that was more so their style when Greymane was really heavy in the meta, so they could use Cursed Bullet or whatever to go straight for an insta-kill. So that's why I'm not quite sold on the idea on that. ETC and Sonya. This is actually a question that I had, if they would try and pull ETC out. And I said it for a very specific reason. When Garrosh came out, one of the reasons why he was not really accepted in Europe as a high meta pick, one of the reasons was that ETC was back then extremely popular as a tank. And ETC, in the opinion of the European players at least, had heavy counter potential to anything that Garrosh did, because every time that Garrosh would be out of position because of his lack of mobility, you could immediately punish him. And this is something that we haven't really seen yet since Garrosh made it back into the meta now with the changes to the meta itself. But with Fnatic not picking Diablo early, you can really already tell that they were absolutely willing to say, hey, if Trick wants to ban him out, that's totally fine. And they of course already saw that Garrosh was picked. So for me, the question was really, what's going to be that front line? And I was kind of curious if they would maybe try and use ETC here, since it's for once it's like one of Breeze's key heroes as well. And it's also a hero where they stated in the past that they feel he will do very well against Garrosh if played properly.
The zest that scares me, though, is that Stukov. That silence is always terrifying against ETC, because he does have a small health bar. You're not able to get that armor on his trait. So we'll watch and see how Breeze intends to play around that, as Blaze and actually Ariel comes in for that 5th pick. So we have double support for Tricked Esports. Going to have that hope being generated by Gul'dan. He'll be the main damage here for Tricked.
That is an interesting setup.
That is an interesting setup. An oldie.
That's not really an oldie. I don't think I've ever seen that double support combo. Have we?
Yeah, Stukov wasn't as popular during the double support
like Stukov, Oriel, Gul'dan, the only main damage dealer. I guess Oriel is really going to play a lot around the whip in this game.
She whips her hope back and forth.
I mean, you have a lot of really good spots where you can get that stun in, so that would work, and you can also control Sonya a lot better with it. That's actually where they all, I mean, they used it once, and that worked really well. And back then the idea was to use it against Garrosh before he's able to go in and set a flip in. That was on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Main is going to get Hanzo.
Hanzo, the Shimada brothers here. Genji, Hanzo, and Sonya, so damage is definitely plentiful here for Fnatic.
Also Mercenary Control.
Mercenary Control, great. Yeah, Scatter Arrow. Is it enough? Will the solo Gul'dan and the Garrosh tossing targets into that Gul'dan be enough?
I mean, I'm just really interested in the Oriole and Stukov composition. I'm just curious. I really just want to see this. You have there's a lot of CC or control or displacement. Garrosh to some. You have the silence. You have a Horrify. Plays as a jet propulsion, and Oriole, of course, with the whip can really get some damage out there. Oh, well, maybe not damage, but at least get positional advantage for them. Can get a stun into the wall, so that helps. But
keep Sonya away. If you can get a stun on Genji out of his deflect, that's always good too. Could work out.
It's a really interesting setup. I want to see how this works out for them.
It's just a matter of could versus should. Can they break down Fnatic here? Let's go ahead and go into it. Now they set up for game number 3, Infernal Shrines. Shamana Bros plus a Sonya facing off against a double support composition featuring Ariel and Stukov.
Game on as we are heading into the third and potentially the last game of the series. Tricked us down 2 games, and they need to start a comeback here if they want to keep in it. To the left side, Crosby on Gul'dan, Alex the Pro G on Blaze. We have Ramabala on Garrosh, Make on Oriel, and Gran Paquete on the main support on Stukov.
On the right side in the red, Breeze playing ETC, Bad Biddy on Sonya, Mene on Hanzo, Quatnix on Genji, and Smexy playing Malfurion. Gonna be looking for Breeze to be aggressive, position behind his opponents, go for those flanks, get those power slides, and serve kills up to Fnatic.
Yeah, one of the go-tos is, of course, that you only power slide in if you're really guaranteed to get a lot of value out of it, and that's mostly the case if you have the immediate Malfurion follow-up and you can try and drop the target. Usually, Breeze is pretty stingy with his power slides and uses them mainly to power slide out of a position and away into his own team, so that's what we can look for on his part. But yeah, with the camp control that they have, I'm really curious to see how Fnatic is going to do with the mercenaries once they spawn on the map. If they're trying to aggressively invade later on in the game, and how they're going to run this. And this is one of the aspects that worries me a bit for Trick, because I think if played correctly, Fnatic can set up really nice lane pressure around every single objective that spawns on the map.
One would assume so. And hang on, Rivergo's actually in against Quagnix, but Quagnix turned this around and they jump us up on Cosby and they delete him. Fnatic realizing the only strength for Trick Esports in terms of damage is that Gul'dan, and they just put everything into him, take him out, and they secure 2 kills.
That didn't work. Trick going in and trying to set something up and maybe drop Genji there, and that little move turned against them quickly.
I just had a vision of Alex sitting on his computer, and he has a buzzer that whenever they play a composition that doesn't work, and he just slams that buzzer, and that means, okay, we're not playing this again. Thanks to your sound. Oh, man.
No, I mean, that was pretty brutal, and you could already see how this thing exactly is stacking up. I mean, we oftentimes talk about CC chains, and that was a perfect example of an ETC power slide into the Malfurion route.
Sure.
And then you have the damage output right there, and it was just a bit too much. Trick didn't really know how much they bargained for here when they went in, and that was the biggest problem. It's also, I mean, it's already a bit of an impactful start here for Fnatic, since yes, it's only 2 kills, but that's still something this early on that gives them now a slight advantage. They have a bit more map control, they could push the lanes out. It's a bit more experience for them and allowed them the time to also go for all the camps a little bit earlier. But it's really coming down to Breeze just hiding in these bushes and waiting for opportunities and waiting for the opponents to come through.
Speaking of hiding in a bush, Breeze already controlling this area here. Alex even coming down from the top lane to maybe help out with a fight. Getting kind of low on health as he gets chunked down. There's the Detainment Strike into a Jet Propulsion, into an ETC being locked down. He still has the power slide though. He's going to hit the Gul'dan. Can Breeze get out? Barely staying alive, but eventually will fall as Trick's 5-man gang comes in and gets a kill. But Grandpa Kid, he was close to falling too.
Yeah, Grandpa was actually really low, but this time they get the kill and Breeze goes down. But you could really tell here how long he was holding that power slide. So he nearly got out of the situation, even though they didn't realize how many players were actually there. And because he's able to, or willing to just wait so long to make his final movement, he oftentimes is able to escape out of these situations. When it comes to builds, by the way, I quickly want to point out that we have Strangling Vines actually taken here. So against the double support, this is something where Malfurion with Mexi made an adjustment in his build now.
Yep, trying to stop all the healing there by 30% for 2 seconds. So if you're able to find that target, get that power slide into a root, kill the Gul'dan. That's how you delete him while they're not able to keep him alive.
And I mean, you have to think about how this works. Normally on this map, often we see him a lot with deep roots just to control these entrance points towards the shrines. But if you go up against a double support and you really want to drop that target where ETC goes in and you have the root on the ground, Dragon Vines, of course, fantastic to make sure that double support are not able to just sustain them through the damage onslaught that they're facing.
And that's going to be even more apparent later on, too, when 10 hits at Dragon Arrow even lock down that one target. Fnatic's entire plan here is to delete Gul'dan. If they can kill him, they can take down this entire composition. Now, on the other side, Trick is looking to just protect them, and that'll become easier later on. Of course, Taunt with Garo standing nearby, Bunker popping out too, and then, of course, at Aegis at level 10. They'll have some tools to make sure Gul'dan is able to survive the onslaught of Fnatic. For now, Fnatic has to deal with his Punishers pushing in, and this fort is actually getting chunked down pretty quickly. Yeah,
and now Malfurion is also getting chunked down, and if Ramabola would have hit this one, then Smexy might have even fallen here. But now Crosby is again in trouble, and here comes ETC. That's one kill, and of course, the immediate reset for Genji as they are moving in and trying to make it at least a double. Marke is currently the person, the power slide soon. And another quick push, and that's the end of Oreo.
Fnatic takes a hike in experience and jumps up as they move up to level 8. They also defend the Punisher. Their fort is kind of low, so Trick can look to grab that experience in the top right later on. But Fnatic is able to stop the onslaught from Trick Esports, really locking down that Gul'dan. And every time you've seen it, twice now. If Gul'dan falls, the rest of the team has to run away. There's not much they can do.
Yeah, Crosby is of course the primary target of every single attack that they have, because once he's dead, there's just not enough damage output any longer. So Crosby needs to be the one that they protect here, and this is something where the double support, especially after level 10, is going to come to play. Oriel needs to make sure that she has some tools available for him.
And that Horrify too. Don't forget that. There is a lot of stuff to stop that full aggression from Fnatic.
Can't Horrify if you're stunned.
Yeah. Well, 9.5 about to hit for Fnatic, and they are setting up for more ganks. You see ETC right above this entire 3-man of Fnatic. You got Mane and Smexy doing their best to push in, and ETC's watching out for that rotation from that middle lane. With only Blaze down here, they actually might have a gank set up.
This is a really nice rotation from Fnatic, and that's something that Trick just didn't see coming. Now, they're rotating it now, but they already lost an insane amount of hit points on the fort, and they're going to lose the whole thing. Question is, can Fnatic get out of it? Because they might have overstayed their welcome.
Well, Trick actually comes in right when Fnatic hits level 10. Bad Benny decides to be the target. Power slide into Crosby, some damage on him as well, and destroyed.
Yeah, destroyed is one way to put it. Deleted. Alex is also trying to move out, and he's able to get away, but Fnatic's 10 definitely put that into a very bad perspective for Trick, even with Genji missing. 5 versus 4, but they didn't even care. At this point, it really feels that Fnatic just picked a lineup where they said, okay, you know what? We had enough of that best Gul'dan in the world meme. We're going to target them in every single fight.
Now look at this. This is a 5v4. Everyone's set up. Make's on the side here, but Gul'dan completely locked down. Doesn't have the Horrify. Alex approach, he can't keep him alive. And eventually Gul'dan is taken out. Alex able to jet propulsion away, but the coordination from Fnatic, even with that Dragon Arrow, is not connecting just a little bit too much.
Yeah, Mena definitely wanted to kill him there. That was just one of those moves where you wanted to have the last hit. But it is really a rough game for Crosby. I mean, just think about it. Every single kill that we have on the Fnatic side nearly went onto him. 3 deaths on Gul'dan already. In every single one of these big fights, he's the target that they go for as soon as they can. By now, Trick has their level 10, and that at least gives them some hopes for these fights. And with the Aegis on Oriel, they can, of course, now hope to make sure that he survives a bit longer, and he can then use his Horrify. But they definitely have to use these tools. The Taunt, the Bunker, Horrify, and Aegis. If they don't, then Fnatic is just going to continue that bloodbath that we've witnessed so far.
And ETC now also is in the top lane pushing. He has that stage diving come in at any point. Hang on though, as Quack gets locked down on Genji. That's going to be the Horrify into the taunt. Here comes that stage dive. Bad Benny looking for the target. Starts to put some damage on Crosby, but here is a bunker to keep him alive. Fnatic will have to escape.
That was actually really well placed too, because Breeze was already on the power slide on Crosby, and if he hits that, then Gul'dan is dead. But that was stopped right away. So good move by Trick, and now they have a really cool position here for the Shrine. They're a bit on the clock, of course, since the top camp is pushing heavily against their fort. So they're losing infrastructure there if they don't pay attention. And Fnatic know that they should wait for Genji to come back. But it looks like they will have to wait long enough for Trick to grab that second Punisher.
They're even sending Hanzo to the top too to help out Sonya. Deciding, okay, with Garage floating around the middle, they're just going to make sure that he's not able to rotate up. Some poking from Hanzo will help out with that. Sonya secures that fort in the top lane, and also the experience by just sitting in the bush, not revealing that she's fully up there. Trick's waiting to finish out this level 40. They want to make sure that top lane stops pushing in before they head down in case they need to bring Blaze into the engagement.
Yeah, Fnatic is going to force Trick's hand now. They have level 13, and they want the Punisher to be taken as quickly as possible. Breeze actually claiming both of the globes as well, so that he can complete his own quest. Not even challenged there. So this is actually pretty cool for Fnatic. Tricked in an ideal world would have tried to delay it long enough so that they can pick level 13 for themselves and fight with the talent, but that wasn't the case. Benny, on the other hand, staying way too long at that top.
But this allows Fnatic to defend that bottom lane. The Punisher pushing in, that means they'll be able to save their fort. So Trick Esports trades out.
Yeah, but
push
still, that's not worth it. I mean, that's not why he stayed there. That was definitely him just being there way too long. Trick didn't want to fight in the first place. They don't have level 13, so they didn't want to go in that position. And the fort has already fallen. I mean, at that point, you really have to call out that Benny was just out of position.
Bad Benny getting picked on, unfortunately, and Trick Esports will hit level 13. We're going to have all 5 of them up. Lay's heading with his top lane. And this is where level 13 starts to get a little bit scary. There's 3 levels away from that Echo Corruption that you see from that Gul'dan. Hang on. Rimmer goes in for a taunt on Malfurion, locks him down with the stage dive from Breeze coming in and providing a little bit of heals too with those groupies.
Body blocks again coming through. Okay, another quick move. Quacknix into the back line here. Goes for the Dragon Blade. Tries to get Grandpa Cat and is close enough to get him. Gets it and goes for another quick swift strike. Crosby missing the Echoed Corruption as Quacknix is about to move out. Remaballer also down, double kill as Fnatic is going for a quick kill streak here.
That stage dive keeping Malfurion alive also with the ice block. Fnatic able to take a spot where Malfurion may have gotten picked off and make it a 2-kill for them. And also start to push in a little bit towards the bottom lane, opening up this keep wall. Gonna have a Punisher spawn to the very top, but for now, with them having some extra time, thanks to their kills, they're just looking to get some value out of it. One turret goes down, and may look for the gate.
Just another thing to throw out there, we have currently 17 stacks on Crosby's cooldown. Not really a whole lot, and it comes back to the 3 kills that he suffered in the early game. So he didn't get a lot of chances to actually get stacking going for himself. So Echoed Corruption in the near future should not be something that Fnatic has to be worried about. So that's definitely good for them. And at this point, they have taken a significant lead in experience. We have level 14 just now reached for Trick Esports. 15.5 roughly for Fnatic. So half a level before level 16. And that puts them in a really cool spot once that they get their talent. They can be a lot more dominant on the map here.
Trick comes in, gets on the mercenary camp, trying to fight the 16 as you mentioned, as they get more dominant. Jet Propulsion was going to be the initiator. Oh my gosh, Dragon's Arrow coming out into it. Stage dive, they're looking for a Stukov. Power slide onto him as well as Ariel. Ariel's going to be forced to use the Aegis. Rimmer trying to throw her out, but doesn't have the time as the kill comes in from Hanzo. Yeah,
Hanzo showing no mercy there, and they are going for Remaballer now as well. Quacknix is still poking away. Not quite sure if they can really get that. And with Stukov having the heads-up play here and the lurking arm on the ground, they don't dare chasing into it. But still, that was a good kill. And also, something that you couldn't really predict at that point. It was just like an Hanzo arrow, really well placed, and a stage dive follow-up with Quacknix dishing in. So, very well played on Fnatic's side, taking one of the supports down, claim their level 16. And now they are in a pretty amazing spot. Breeze already looking for a flank, and they're jumping on Crosby again.
And he's all by himself. There's no one here to save him. Grandpa Kit comes around, but it's a little bit too late. Rimmer might be the next target. Double down has been used earlier. I think it's about to come off cooldown, but I don't think it's going to be enough as Rimmer continues to get chunked. Grandpa Kit becomes the next target with a power slide into possibly a knockback. In fact, Breeze doesn't even need it. 3 picked off as Fnatic continues to slay.
An absolutely aggressive setup for Fnatic here, and they are diving deep behind forts to get these kills. Breeze in particular has been flanking this one again through the left side gap here, and that was just fantastic for them. So the 2-level lead completely solidified. They can take the camps now away from their opponent. The shrine is also spawned. At this point, we're just seeing Bad Benny play PvE basically, just taking camps and taking minions, taking now also the objective itself, and the rest of the team is roaming the map, grabbing kills and grabbing mercenaries.
I really love this move here. Grabbing the night camp, big minion wave coming in, sieging down this top lane before Trick Esports even at level 16, has Sonya only on top of that shrine, just pushing every small advantage they have, and this time they actually have a big advantage. And the moment Trick Esports shows up to defend it, they can run in the middle and soak that wave while they wait for Sonya to finish the shrine. Fnatic doing everything right. Textbook play so far of ending this game.
Yeah, Alex needs to get out of here.
He's not.
Yeah. Yeah, this is bad news for Alex. He's in trouble and knows that. Yeah. It was actually a smart move of him trying to get up, but Breeze is saying, like, dude, I have a global. You have no chance here. Trick comes in, though. Let's see if they can actually save him. There is a 5 versus 4, and they have level 16. So, yeah, works out for now. Cooldown traded. Stage dive against Bunker. Went better for Trick than expected, thanks to level 16 talent in their hands. Fnatic is not really willing to fight this. And they, of course, still had Sonya up at the top.
Bunker still used though, down for about 20 seconds. Tricked while they're down here, might as well get a fort. And at least they have an even talent here against their opponent, as finally the Punisher is finished off as Sonya concludes it, with the rest of Fnatic heading towards his top lane.
That actually worked out really well for Tricked.
That it did.
They just got a free fort. That's basically, like, the net amount of this was Trick getting a free fort. Some cooldowns traded, nothing major, and then they get a free fort. They would have to defend against the Punisher anyways, and now let's see if they can. Crosby's immediately pressured. Bad Benny already a bit deep here, needs to be careful. Team comes in, Horrify has been used, but that didn't yield them a lot.
Yep, Breeze stepping up, dropping that power slide, or at least a knockback to make sure that no one did move in on that Sonya. Bad Benny with that Wrath up, also staying very healthy as they focus down this keep. They're trying to find a target to kill, but Rimmer's able to toss a Blaze towards the middle of the keep and keep him alive. And Fnatic, a little bit of aggression, open up this keep and back away.
Yeah, Mena still chunking away. He's done a ton of damage in this game here already. Breeze with the power slide out. Still Trick with the chase, trying to see if they can grab a kill here, if they can isolate someone. But Fnatic methodically moving back Mena from the side, angling actually to see if he can go for Gul'dan or maybe Oriel.
Looking for it, but nothing available, especially with no Dragon Zero for another 20 seconds. Fnatic chunking where they can, but eventually have to pull away with that bottom lane pushing in. I guess an HGC over there. He'll have his stage dive back, so he'll be able to defend. Fnatic scouts out that Trick Esports is looking for this fight. They are running across the map, trying to see if they can catch a Malfurion.
The problem is that Breeze is already waiting there, and soon enough, all the cooldowns are ready for them. They're gonna go for this fight. They're actually thinking about moving in.
Fnatic playing smart. Yeah. It's a little bit too hard in this choke. Having the Horrify available, Garrosh controlling the front line.
You could
Bunker.
see that.
Wait a minute, Bad Benny. Ooh, barely sidestepping that jet propulsion.
Oh, Horrify, and now that could be a dead Sonya. Sonya with a spin to win, but she is down. Bad Benny, dead. Crosby making the play here, able to get the Horrify through, and now they have to back off. Breeze is already on the move. Mena dropping the vision, and he needs to make sure that he gets away from this one.
Well, he's trying to also delay too, because look at the top lane. Catapults are starting to group up.
Yeah, still a bit of time there for Trick, but still, they're just trying to get out of here. Mena might have some trouble. Okay, using the trade once again, jumping back here, and here comes Smexy with the root. So at this point, Trick is not going to be able to make this work. The entire time, just shots fired to make sure that anybody who mounts up on the side of Trick Esports is immediately unmounted. Also buying some time for Sonya, of course, to come back. But now Trick in the 5 versus 4 position they find themselves in. Easily take this camp to the top right. They will have to defend the top lane, as we talked about. But the bigger problem is that Fnatic around the next objective is going to have level 20 advantage.
Yep, Trick clearing that out, taking everything they can before that 20 advantage does hit. Now, also before Sonya is back, she'll be here in about 3 seconds. But meanwhile, Fnatic is spending the time clearing out these lanes and getting that 20 for themselves. Sonya will be able to deal with that Night Camp that was grabbed in the top right lane. And now it's all about this next shrine. Fnatic will have it spawn pretty soon here. Trick's still a level and a half behind. So it looks like they may have to fight around this Punisher phase without a Storm talent being available for them. Breeze even looking for a bit of an aggressive play here as he heads to the top left corner, scouting out to see whether or not Trick Esports is nearby, but they do finally see them in the bottom lane as Garrosh shows himself. Yeah,
one of the problems that we see for Trick is also that the spawn point is in the middle. So while the wall is still there under the towers, but the keep itself has already taken some damage since they baited the original Punisher from the top lane into the middle earlier to try and take some of the main damage off the top keep and see if they can maybe even defend it. But now we have that level 20, and at that point, of course, you are starting to really struggle in any kind of 5 versus 5 setup. You don't really want to fight that.
Arcane Punisher 2, just as deadly. Fnatic can go ahead and start clearing it out, and Trick Esports looks like they actually want to contest with this area. At least try and steal away a few of these minions and see what they can get. If they can get a lucky Horrify on a target and burn them down, that could be helpful for them. Now it's Prodigy and Rimmer controlling that front line. Sony gets dropped down. Here comes the arrow. Gonna have also the stage dive coming in. Big A just being popped. Grandpa Kit trying to stay alive, but he is locked down by the root, and Pancakes will get the kill.
The silence was strong, and now there's the double as Gul'dan goes down. Stukov and Gul'dan both dead. Remabola is low, and Make is also history. He drops, and this is just an absolute disaster for Trick's ambition to turn this match around. All of a sudden, it's Alex who's on the chase, but the thing is that we are seeing Fnatic grouping up at the top lane because they're already headed for the core. They want to end the game right now, and there's very little that Trick can do with only 2 frontliners to stop them in the setup.
Fnatic core calls. I remember these, and this one should be an easy call for them as they head straight in for that core, having Sonya lead the charge, burning through the armor with only a Blaze and a Garrosh left to defense. Trick Esports is aware that they can't hold this. and they're going to go ahead and allow Fnatic to finish out this game. The core continues to drop 50 down to 40, and Fnatic comes out today looking pretty darn dominant against Trick Esports and gets a 3-0.
Strong performance by Fnatic. Tricked still in a struggling position here. And we're going to take a look at the standings a bit later, but I'm not quite sure what kind of record they are on right now, but I'm starting to get pretty worried for them.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they go up against some top teams, but also they had some losses that really hurt a lot, especially the one against Diamond Skin, of course, that they didn't really expect. So for Fnatic, it's great after loss against Dignitas that they redeem themselves, so to say, and now take this with a 3-0. That, of course, helps them also going towards the position for the mid-season brawl.
Well, the thing about Trick Esports is, like, even in the past when they were losing against the top teams, they still had pretty close games, even some 5-game series where, like, all right, Trick could have maybe actually won this, and that made us very hopeful for them. But I feel like in the last couple of weeks, we've had almost some complete blowouts. First off, a 3-0 today in favor of Fnatic. Team all Liquid with the big victories over them as well. They had 2 games in that series that was also pure blowouts, besides that 2-minute Spider Queen. So it feels like Trick's taking a bit of a step back compared to what we're used to, or they're just not leveling up like the rest of the teams right now.
It feels they lost their confidence a little bit.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
They were always a little bit cocky in a fun way, where they came in and just like had that swagger around them, and there was like this element of